Chaos reigned in the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council. Alien delegates, clad in shimmering armor, shouted over each other, jostling and posturing as if dominance could be claimed through sheer noise and intimidation. At the center of the chaos, the human ambassador, Ayan, stood perfectly calm. His presence alone drew subtle tension. It was a quiet confidence alien species rarely encountered. This calm, forged through humanity's millennia of survival and adaptation, was an invisible weapon, one the aliens had not anticipated. "Don't hit me again," a small alien female, Ziria, shouted as two mercenaries lunged at her. She was barely 5 feet tall and slight by any standard, but her eyes blazed with defiance. The mercenaries sneered and laughed, mocking her vulnerability. They assumed she was weak, defenseless, and entirely at their mercy. But in doing so, they underestimated the humans, and that mistake would cost them dearly. Within 20 minutes, the entire room had changed. The aliens who had mocked Ziria now lay sprawled on the ground. Their strength, their armor, and their confidence, all of it became irrelevant in the face of human precision, speed, and psychological cunning. Every delegate who had laughed at her was stunned, defeated, and unable to rise. Not a single one remained standing. Ayan approached Ziria and offered his hand. "Safe now," he said softly. She nodded, her relief evident, though her awe at what had just occurred shone brighter. Humanity's reputation as a species that could survive and dominate against overwhelming odds had been proven yet again. This event was not just a victory. It was a demonstration of why humans were exceptional. Despite lacking the raw size, strength, or advanced technology of many alien species, humans possessed adaptability, strategic thinking, and intuition honed over thousands of years of survival. What the aliens considered disadvantages, small stature, limited armor, and seemingly primitive weaponry, were precisely what made humans unpredictable and effective. Council delegates scrambled to comprehend what had happened. "Impossible," murmured one reptilian leader, its scales gleaming in the council's artificial lights. "How can a species so small dictate the outcome of a conflict in 20 minutes? Ayan smiled faintly, unwavering. "Humans never underestimate the situation. We observe, adapt, and survive, and those who survive change history." Ziria's story quickly spread across the galaxy. Aliens who once viewed humanity as insignificant now realized the truth. Humans were more than survivors. They were catalysts for change. "They mocked me," Ziria would later recount on her homeworld. 20 minutes later, none of them were standing. Nothing in the galaxy compares to human instinct and presence. The human name carried weight beyond Earth. Humans were no longer just one species among many. They were a phenomenon. They represented unpredictability, strategy, and unrelenting determination. Any species that assumed Earthlings could be dismissed quickly learned that such an assumption was fatal. The 20-minute encounter became a lesson in humility. Every alien delegate recognized that underestimating humans was the gravest mistake imaginable. The price of arrogance had been immediate and undeniable. Standing before the council, Ayan addressed the room with composed authority. "The human world may seem simple, but our approach is straightforward. Fight smart, adapt fast, and never underestimate any opponent." His words were not a threat, they were a declaration. And it left a permanent imprint in the minds of every species present. Humans are not to be overlooked. Ziria looked up at him, admiration mixed with disbelief in her eyes. "I always knew humans were different, but today, you've shown me what true survival means." Ayan simply nodded. The respect she had once withheld had transformed into profound understanding. Humans were capable of feats no other species could match, not through sheer size or force, but through intelligence, strategy, and unflinching courage. In the aftermath, humanity's role in galactic politics and warfare shifted dramatically. The 20-minute incident was recorded, broadcast, and analyzed. Across colonies and council chambers, aliens began to reconsider every prior assumption about Earth and its inhabitants. The lesson was clear: underestimate humanity at your own peril. Humans' instincts, adaptability, and relentless resolve made them an unstoppable force. Even decades later, Ziria would recount the event to her people, describing how humans had overturned the expectations of every species in the council. They were small but unstoppable. They were calm yet lethal. They were humans, she said, and with that, the legend of humanity grew. a story that would inspire fear, respect, and fascination across the stars. In just 20 minutes, a group that had mocked a lone alien female was brought low. The humans had not needed overwhelming numbers or exotic technology. They had relied on what made them unique: ingenuity, adaptability, and the indomitable will to survive. And as the Galactic Council learned, those qualities alone were enough to make humans the most formidable species in the known galaxy.